Michigan State should not be ahead of Georgia.
Well, what you were saying about South Carolina, let me plug in this real quick. I'm a little shocked they got a vote, too, because they lost 3 out of 4 starters on the defensive line, and they've got a lot of holes in their secondary because they lost quite a bit. Of course, they also lost Connor Shaw, so they're playing with a quarterback who does have some experience, but he's no Connor Shaw. So I'm a little baffled by that myself.
I don't understand it. And Ohio State should never be ranked ahead of any SEC team, period, until they beat one. They haven't beat one in 15 years. And to whoever's about to call in and tell me that they beat Arkansas in 2011, Ohio State vacated that win, so that doesn't count. So you still haven't beat an SEC team since Justin Bieber released his first YouTube video. So they have no business ever being ranked ahead of any SEC teams. Auburn ahead of us, I can see that. They played for a national title last year. They have Nick Marshall coming back. They have a lot of their players coming back, actually. Gus Malzahn, one of the hottest coaches and one of the hottest offensive minds in college football right now. So as much as I hate Auburn, I can't really argue with them being ranked ahead of Georgia in the preseason. And that really doesn't matter because we're going to play Auburn anyway, so we'll figure it out then who's better. Oregon, I don't even pay attention to them anymore. They're going to beat everybody they play by 60 points, and they're going to lose to either Stanford or some other team that they're not supposed to lose to. And then if they get lucky enough to play any SEC team in a bowl game, they'll score 13 points and lose. So I don't even worry where they're ranked. Oklahoma, Alabama, and Florida State. So on the surface, it sounds about right.
Did you notice this, Lou? Alabama's ranked number 2. I really don't have a problem with that. But they don't have not one single first-place vote. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Now, that's Alabama hate is all that is. It's Alabama hate, period.
Now, I'm not a big fan of Alabama, but there's no question that they should definitely have some votes up there. I mean, they have won, 3 out of the past 5 national titles? To be number 2 and not have one single first-place vote, that's baffling, man. How could you be number 2 and not have? Oklahoma has 3 first-place votes, and they're behind Alabama. That's a little weird.
Yeah. I don't understand that either. I mean, you don't even have to study Alabama to know they're going to have an NFL defense. They're going to have 3 or 4 NFL-ready running backs. They're going to have a big offensive line. They're going to have a quarterback who doesn't turn the ball over. And like you said, there's not a better team over the last 5 or 6 years than Alabama, so to not have any first-place votes, is sort of a head-scratcher here. But it looks like everybody's on the Florida State bandwagon, I guess. I don't know. Now, they beat Auburn, and I don't want to rehash this title game here. The better team did not win that game, and Auburn was probably the 3rd best team in the SEC last year. You put Florida State in the SEC last year, they have a minimum of 3 losses and never even make it to the title game. But with that being said, they got the Heisman Trophy winner starting quarterback back again this year, and they won the title last year, so obviously they're going to be ranked preseason number 1, and they have by far the majority of the first-place votes here. So on the surface, it seems about right. Going back to Georgia here with them being number 12, that sounds about right, but I just have a problem, I guess, with the order of some of these teams. But I'm not gonna bitch and moan with Georgia being ranked 12. If you look back historically, especially the last 10 years or so, the lower we're ranked preseason, that seems like the higher we're ranked to end the season. So maybe that's an omen of things to come for this year. We'll see.
Yeah, and I took a look at some of the teams who are not ranked. I mean, what can you say? When's the last time Florida has not been in the preseason top 25? That's a little weird to see that. Florida is not ranked in the top 25. Now, I cannot see them being as bad as they were last year. There's no way they go 4-8 again. I see something like maybe a 7-5, maybe if they're lucky, 8-4. But
there's
just
no
seeing
way.
them not being ranked is a little weird. I mean, Missouri's not ranked, and this is a team that won the SEC East last year. That one was a bit of a shock. I mean, they did lose their quarterback, and that was that Beckham Green receiver they got. He was kicked off the team. So they do lose some offensive firepower. So it's just a little weird seeing some of these teams. Oklahoma State not being ranked. I mean, we're just used to seeing a lot of these teams that are in the preseason top 25, and they're not there. That's just a little weird to see that. But there again, I mean, they could come out swinging for the fence and, be ranked in the top 10 halfway through the season. You just really never know.
Yeah, and take a look at number 24, Texas. Now, what are they doing in the top 25? Now, they had nobody last year. They have a new coach this year, Charlie Strong, so we'll see how that works out. But, how are they 24, but Missouri and Florida are unranked? Now, there's not much, the gap is not wide here. Missouri and Florida are 1 and 2, and the others receiving votes, so they almost cracked the top 25. But to see Texas at 24 is a little strange to me. I really don't think they should be ranked at all in this preseason poll. And here we go with another one here at number 17, Notre Dame. Now, if Texas is 24 and Notre Dame is 17, then these people are just ranking names is all they're doing.
Oh, yeah, it's been like that for years.
I don't understand. Every year we have to go through this thing with Notre Dame. They're not any good, period. They beat a couple of Big Ten teams every year, and then they get humiliated by whoever they play in the championship game or whatever bowl game they go to. I mean, Newt Rockne, it's been a long time since Newt Rockne. It's been a long time since Lou Holtz. It's time to move on from the love with Notre Dame. I mean, it's just aggravating here. I just don't get it. But I think they start playing an ACC schedule here pretty soon, which I don't know. Is that a step up from the Big Ten or no?
You know what? Notre Dame just needs to, honestly, Notre Dame it wouldn't bother me if they disappeared completely, because I just think a few years ago when they played Alabama in the national championship game, they had no business being there. Everybody knew before that game even started that Alabama was going to walk the dog, no pun intended. Everybody knew they were going to destroy Notre Dame. And I think anybody that has a brain would agree that if Georgia would have got that last 5 yards and beat Alabama, Georgia would have walked the dog on Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a crap joke. Like, there's no reason they should ever start off ahead of some of these teams. You're right. They're ranking names. It's the same thing with Southern Cal. Other than those years, they've been on probation, they always rank Southern Cal like top 5 usually, and then of course there was that season where they were preseason ranked number 1. By the end of the year, they finished like 7-5. I do think that was the first time the number 1 team finished the season unranked. I mean, are you kidding me?
Right.
And then you want to talk about other teams. Look at number 23, North Carolina. What is North Carolina doing being ranked in football, period?
I don't know what's going on. Is this a basketball poll? I see Kansas State here, too.
Yeah, well, to give Kansas State a little credit, I mean, they have been a little decent over the last several years. I'll give them that. I mean, by no means are they a threat to the national championship, but, I mean, I'll give them a little credit. They've been a little decent. North Carolina, on the other hand, they get so much hype every year. There's been several years as of late they're predicted to finish as one of the top teams in the ACC, and they seem to always finish like 6-6, 7-6, around that 500 mark. That's a basketball school. Why are people predicting a basketball school to even be up there, amongst the powerhouses in college football? It doesn't make sense. And you got teams, some of the other teams that were unranked right now, Miami. Now, Miami is one of those teams that if you're a Miami fan, you think you're going undefeated. If you're not a Miami fan, you think maybe, 7-5, more realistic, But they do have a good running back. I do think that Miami has a chance to actually be ranked. I'm not sure if I'd go as far as saying that they'll contend for the ACC. I don't see it. Florida State's the cream of the crop in the ACC right now. Nobody's dethroning them.
They're miles ahead of anybody else.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do think, I mean, I'm not the one doing the polls, but Miami could be in the top 25, preseason. I could see that. I mean, they do have a very good running back. So, but teams like, how about Boise State, who's fallen off the map? They finished 8-5 last year.
Their run. Yeah, they had their run, and I think it's about coming to a close here.
Yeah, they had their run. I remember 2011 when we played them in the Georgia Dome. They got the better of us that day, but they had. I was shocked. I mean, they had a lot of NFL talent on that defense, but that's all gone now.
You see this a lot. You see that a lot when these smaller schools finally get a crack at one of the big boys, especially early in the season. I mean, for Boise State, that was their national championship game, period. I mean, that was the game on their schedule that was circled, and, it's hard, I guess, for some of these teams sometimes to get up to play a smaller school, but with Boise State, they're giant killers. I mean, they made their name doing it. So, yeah, that was a rough day. I want to mention one other thing on this poll here, and then I'll let you have the final word on the poll, and I guess we can move on. But did I miss something? Is Georgia Tech trying something where they have two head coaches? Because they have two votes in this poll, and this is the coaches' poll now, and they have two votes here. I know their coach voted them, but you're telling me somebody else voted for them, or do they have two head coaches there?
That's a good question.
I
don't even know why.
Understand.
Yeah, I don't have any clue why they would even get a vote. Honestly, I mean, we can say this because we play them every year. But when you beat somebody 12 out of 13 times, I mean, granted, we're going to look down on them. But this is a team that most of the time, I mean, they hover around the 500 record in the ACC. Sometimes they finish a game or two over 500. But the only time they've really been good, I guess, in the last 10 years was it was 2008, 2009. They won the ACC, but had to vacate that because they can't even be good at football without cheating, and these guys are supposed to be smart. How can you be smart and get caught cheating? Don't make sense. That right there deserves negative votes.
Yeah. And we beat them that year too. So even though they won the ACC, they still couldn't beat Big Brother.
That's right. Now, I think that I think that was the year we had a losing record, wasn't it? That may have been 2010. Because I know we went 6-7 in 2010. Was that 2010?
Yeah, we beat them. I'm pretty sure. I don't have it pulled up here, but I'm pretty sure we beat them the year we had a losing record, and we beat them the year that they won the ACC.
Oh, I know for a fact we beat them when we had a losing record because that was 2010. The last time they beat us was 2008, and that was only by 3 points. So in 13 years, they beat us one time by a measly 3 points. So I guess we can throw them a cookie for that.
Yeah, congratulations.
All right, guys. You have a question. Unc Nasty, from Cane Shades, says he's enjoying your new show and he wants to ask you a question. Do you really think your running back's better than Duke Johnson? And be honest and don't be delusional, he said.
Oh, without a doubt, I think Gurley's ahead of Duke Johnson simply because Gurley plays against the better competition. Like I said about Clemson, Miami plays a lot of teams that have no business being on the same football field. Let's put it like that. Anytime you play teams like Wake Forest or Syracuse or Duke, North Carolina, I expect you to put up stats. But when Gurley plays against the South Carolinas, Florida, they have a good defense. Their offense is trash, but they have a good defense. Gurley plays against Carolina, Florida, played against LSU last year. Gurley goes up against the better defenses, hands down. And anybody that tries to argue that, in my opinion, obviously don't know college football. Am I saying Duke Johnson sucks? No. I'm saying that Gurley plays against the better competition, and he's a proven back. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Obviously I agree. I try to be level-headed about these things. Sometimes being a fan, it's hard to do that, but if I'm being honest with myself, if I have to choose who I want on my team, Gurley or Duke Johnson, I'm picking Gurley. I'd love to have Duke Johnson on my team too.